All right, everybody, tonight I'm going to review a book that was an unlikely source for affirmations and the technique and my introduction, so to speak, of affirmations. And it's a funny book. It's a little old now. It's about, what, 25 years old, but it's still funny, even though it is a little old. So with that, we'll start the review. All right, thanks you so much for joining me tonight. The review tonight is The Dilbert Future. That's right. The book is from the author of the Dilbert comic strips, and it's called The Dilbert Future by Scott Adams. So this book is basically his predictions back in 1998. Now, the hardcover, which was the original edition, came out in 97, but what I have is the soft copy. That it was a revised edition. It had an appendix, had extra stuff added to it because of some of the feedback that the author had received. So I have the one that has the extra stuff. So if you decide to pick up this book, make sure you don't go for the hardcover, go for the soft cover, that 1998 edition, or later, I imagine. So basically what he does is that he goes through a series of predictions, and of course he talks about it, and he has his comic strips in there, right? But he also writes about it, and it is entertaining, and it's also thought-provoking, right? So just to go over a couple of things that are in the book, just some of his predictions, which are pretty interesting, and then I'll conclude with the part of the affirmations, and a little bit of the technique that he used and how he used it, and why he believes in them. So let me start with prediction 29. In the future, religious groups will get mad at me, thus boosting my book sales. So that's, whether or not he got some extra sales because of religious groups, I don't know, but it was a bestseller. It was a New York Times #1 bestseller. Well, actually, no, it was the Dilbert Principle, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, this one ended up being too. So yeah, he had a bestseller already on the New York Times. Okay, so the next one, it says prediction 56, and this was kind of interesting. It said, in the future, assisted suicide will be a medical specialty practiced by doctors who don't like people. Now, if you heard the news coming out of Canada on assisted suicide and how they're pushing assisted suicide, it's kind of scary to think about. Prediction 21. Lack of education will not be the biggest problem in the future. The problem will be an excess of stupidity as more people fall below the incompetence line. This was in 98, and this was before the whole the whole dumbing down and wokeness and all this stuff that we have these days. So that's another interesting. So he has many of these, and like I said, they're very humorous, very funny, and it's a very entertaining book. Now, I do want to talk about the affirmations. It's like I said, when I read this book, it was probably in about, I didn't read it right when it came out. I probably read it about 2000, 99, 2000, something like that. And although I had read books on metaphysics before, and that type of thing, I hadn't really come across that called affirmations until this book. Then later on, I started doing more research and reading other books, and then figuring out what it was basically. But this is what caught my attention and kind of got me on that road of affirmations, manifestations, that type of thing. It talks about affirmations. It says, if it's possible to control your environment through your thoughts, or steer your perceptions, or soul if you prefer, through other universes, I bet the secret to doing that is a process called affirmations. So he talks about, he heard about the technique from a friend, and he ended up practicing it, right? He ended up doing the technique. And he said, I tried affirmations. I figured it didn't cost anything, so I had nothing to lose. My friend said it had worked for her, coincidences and all, so I had testimonial that sounded credible. It wasn't proof, but it was better than no testimonial at all. I picked what I thought was an unlikely goal and went at it. He says within a week, coincidences started happening to him, and unpredictable strings of amazing coincidences, right? So he goes on to talk about it a little bit. One, it was a personal issue, that first one. Then he ended up picking a different one, which was to make money on the stock market, something that would provide more concrete proof, right? And the stock that he ended up picking that caught his eye, skyrocketing. And he got out early, but it just kept going up. So he was kind of kicking himself later on because he didn't stay in there, right? So he made his money back or whatever, and then got out. And I think he tried that twice. So now, and this was in the original part of the books of the 97 hard copy, right? But in 98, when this one came out, he had an appendix, and he said one of the bigger feedbacks or most feedbacks that he got from the book was his affirmations, and a lot of people wanted to know the technique and how to do it. So he adds it in his appendix of the book. And he said he can't remember the book that he got it from. I would imagine it's probably from one of the, because I think he said it was secondhand. He got it from a friend, and the friend got it from this book, and it was probably either Napoleon Hill or Neville Goddard or one of these guys, Joseph Murphy, these common names. So he said, and I'm just going to run down real quick what his technique was. He said, have a specific goal, right? You got to know what you want. That's a big thing. One that you can visualize. Well, if you can make the affirmations, you're going to visualize it because images are going to start coming to you. His technique was to write it down 15 times in a row, once a day, and then in the format of, well, he said, will, get, do, or accomplish. I in your name, will, get, do, accomplish, whatever. And we know that in as far as affirmations, you want to speak in the present. So you're saying, I am. I am this, or I got this, instead of I will get, because it affirms basically that you don't have it if you say you will get it. But anyway, it goes deep. Other one said no time was set to expect the results, but he says that he would give it 6 months. That's a long time. So if 6 months you don't see any results, then stop or change it. It said one of the interesting things was that you didn't need faith in what you were going to get, faith in the affirmation. It was just that by that repetition, it was planting the seed basically in your mind, and that was coming to fruition. Yeah, and I don't think you need faith in affirmations any more than you would need faith to steer your car. Anyway, this was the book that kind of put me onto the path of affirmations, and kind of learning what it was and finding out more about it. The Dilbert Future. It's funny. It's very entertaining, and it'll keep you locked into it. And I think when I read it, I probably read it in a day, maybe a day and a half, something like that. And I just, I enjoyed it so much. I was laughing all the time from it because of some of the things he comes up with. The guy is a genius when it comes to that stuff. Anyway, hope you liked the video. I'll post a link to where you can get the book, and we'll see you in the next one.